Alrighty. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of Has Been Hotel Season 2. I'm really excited to watch this again. Just as an FYI, I did a recording and then the whole recording crashed, so I'm doing it again. So it's not really a blind reaction per se, but I'm really excited to give this a try and watch this with you again because I am not going to stop until I have to stop and I decide my own limit. So let's go.
My daughter loves me. I am the best dad ever. Best dad in hell.
Right off the bat, I do have to say this, and I was thinking this yesterday as well. For a man who is the king of hell and has experience with sinners, it's astonishing how long it takes him and how very easily he ignores all the signs of a potential kidnapping. He's just like, my daughter loves me, so I'm just gonna go along with the flow. Like, I love a supportive dad, but also at the same time, I was like, King, please use your head just for a few seconds.
Ready to give you just a big ol' a pop apology. I am so sorry, Charlie. Please don't give up on me.
Someone please give this man a hug. Like, I genuinely want that by the end of this season or by the end of this series, Lucifer gets a big old hug. Because my poor man is struggling with depression as well as low self esteem. Someone give him a hug. I demand this. I'm watching you guys.
The whole serial killer aesthetic is new, but, whatever you're into, gotta follow those dreams, right? I know, is this one of those pranks? Are you pranking me right now? That's so fun!
Sorry, Dad. This isn't a prank.
It's a takeover.
Hey, wait, you're not Charlie. Real cute. Very amusing. Tell you what, let me go now and I won't smite you.
You've gone through this, Lucifer. He knows you can't smite him. He did a whole public humiliation of you not being able to smite him in song form. Why would you take that bet again? Why?
Aha. Explains the showboating. Let me guess. The bellhop told you that one.
Host! And no, it seems he figured it out because you're.
I love how desperately Alistair is still clutching onto the fact that he is the host of the hotel, knowing the fact that he has done zero things to show up as a host of the hotel in the entirety of season 2. And you quit. You're no longer a host. So why are you holding on to that? It's like, when you go on LinkedIn and you have moved on from a job but you're still showing up and you have that on your LinkedIn tagline X something to show that I was there though. I was a part of that big ass company though. Like, ayo. Let it go.
Sloppy with your secrets.
Sloppy? Oh, when I get out of here, I will show you sloppy.
You mean that? Because I am still clutching on to my Radio Apple fanfics and theory. They are the classic enemies to lover trope, and Hell's Greatest Dad proved it. And so, I wanna see Sloppy. No, not really, but I wanna see Sloppy. I mean, hey, we got Charlie and we got Waggy doing the do in real time in song form. We can get them as well. You know what I mean?
Hey, could you both shut up, please?
Yeah, guys, it's poor Vox's moment. He wants to be the one who has sexual tension with Alistair, not you and Lucifer. Boy, Vox would have flipped if he had seen Hell's Greatest Dad. That song is my enemies to lovers anthem. Poor boy, Vox. Go for it, man. I mean, I don't think you could recreate that tension even if you wanted to, but equals are talking. You want to be an equal. We get it. You want to be the god here, but yeah, showboating.
I own the radio demon. I own hell. And there's nothing anyone can do about it.
Yeah, okay.
I've been saying this since we saw episode 3, I think. Husk looks at Angel Dust and Angel Dust looks at Husk when they're like, yeah, obviously Cherry doesn't have a crush on Serpentius, obviously. And do you see that glance here? Do you see that glance? That is proof that my babies are telepathically speaking and literally burning down walks in their mind right now.
My new friend, Carmilla Carmine.
Yeah, nice name drop. I have no idea who that is.
Well, you see,
It's literally funny how disconnected from hell Lucifer is. Like, she is one of the biggest weapons manufacturer in hell. She supplied you with the weapons when you were fighting against heaven in the previous season, and he's like, nice name drop. I have zero idea who she is. Oh my god.
he is.
Yeah, nobody cares, man. Look, I don't know what you're planning, but it won't work. Okay, you're garbage. That's why you're in hell.
I really love this part so much because poor Vox is essentially being called out and told off by both Lucifer and Alistair in the previous episodes. Alistair is consistently damaging his self-esteem, and Lucifer shows up for 1 second, and he's like, even in the previous episode we had him just being like, you wanted teacher's attention, now you got the principal, kind of a thing. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm better than you, you might be doing all of this crazy stuff, but I'm still better than you. And then Lucifer shows up here, and within 2 minutes of showing up, he's like, you're garbage. Poor Vox literally is going to need affirmations after this whole episode and this whole season is done.
You were a failure in life, and you're a failure now, okay?
Failure. I'll show you failure.
I knew that pissed him off. I knew he would have been like, oh, hey, obviously it didn't hurt me. Your insults can't touch me. And then internally he's like, why does this keep happening to me? Why do all these big ass people keep showing off and telling me that I am a good for nothing person? Like, I was with him in his villain origin story with how Alistair treated him, but now I'm just like, yeah, okay, man, go off, whatever.
Remember, trust us with your weather.
We have seen 3 backstories and 3 human designs, and nothing beats Serpentius. He is right on top for me, just from the fact that he was an emo adult. I am an emo adult. I vibe with emo people. He's the epitome of character design. Alistair was okay. Vox looks like someone who's going through a midlife crisis.
Rome wasn't built.
You see that face drop? That's the exact face drop I have after I'm done getting out of a meeting. I go, save me. I get you. Just for a few seconds, I get you, Vox.
There's a will, there's a way. You just gotta slit a throat or two.
Just want to say, first of all, right off the bat, I just noticed that Vox was heterochromatic, which is a cool detail to add here. And also, it's so funny that for him, while he's being ambitious, he was like, I ain't waiting around for people to drop dead. I'm gonna make them drop dead. I'm going to make this happen as quickly as possible and rise as high as I want to.
Commitment to the truth is as strong as ever. Remember, trust us with your news.
I can also see such a wonderful resemblance between Katie Killjoy and Vox. I can see why he favors her so much, just from a reporter standpoint, because he was a reporter just like her. She keeps pushing and punching and kicking Tom away, so I can see why he favors her as a reporter.
Now, who's ready to be baptized into a new era of entertainment?
His death was so dumb, but it just made me think about the fact that if he wouldn't have died like this, if he would have died a normal death, he probably wouldn't have had a TV for a head now in hell. Because Alistair died because of a gunshot wound while he was mistaken for a deer, and so he has the deer aesthetic. And so Vox dies because his head is trapped inside a TV and he is electrocuted, and that's why he has a TV for a head. But I can just imagine how it would have been different if he had not died like that. Maybe he would have features similar to TV, features similar to being a reporter, but not necessarily have a TV for a head. And it also kind of makes me think, does that mean that Val died because of the legendary Mothman? Is that why he is shaped like a moth? We will never know unless they give us a backstory. What do you think?
Where are you, Dad? Dad, where are you? Come on, pick up.
The fact that Charlie is essentially going through the trauma of not having her parents respond to her, like she already has Lilith not responding to her messages, and so I can absolutely see the panic of it all. I just noticed her wallpaper has both the apple and the bitten apple. That's kind of clever. I absolutely love that.
You did kind of let him have it the last time you spoke.
I know, and I feel awful. Look, I apologized 14 times and I sent a whole flock of duck emojis.
Why would you send a image that literally says, I showed you my duck, please respond? Why? What does that even mean in a context between a father and a daughter?
Do you guys know what this is about?
Demons of hell. I am famous porn star Angel Dust.
I really want people to clock immediately, at least the people in Has-Been Hotel, to clock immediately that Angel doesn't really talk like this in real life.
And the only way to fight back is by following the V's.
Thank you, Angel. It's great to have you with us.
Angel?
This little hotel did was show us that we could defend ourselves. But now, thanks to us, the V's, you no longer have to live in fear. Because now, thanks to me, we finally have a weapon that can take the fight to them and complete the mission our dear queen began almost a decade ago. I present to you the might of Lilith!
Wait, that's what it looks like? Ew, I don't like it.
What the hell? That tickles. Oh, that's a bad tickle. Oh, that's a bad tickle. Bad tickle. Oh! I'm panicking.
This is supposed to be the good place! What's happening?
I just have to say, poor Peter just rolling around like a fidget spinner was absolutely funny and hilarious. And the animatics on this particular shot, so worth it.
Holy shit! Holy shit!
Holy shit!
Hey there, Heaven. It's about time we had a little chat. As you can see, we've been a bit busy down here since your last visit. You know, we've been hearing for so long about how the grass is greener on your side of the fence that we thought maybe we should come over and see for ourselves. And heck, we like it enough, we might just decide to stay. Now, you might have some silly ideas about fighting us off, but don't forget, there are a lot more of us than there are of you. So guess what, Seraphim? You have 24 hours to surrender the kingdom of heaven to me, or you'll have a front row seat to the next extermination.
Extermination? What's he talking about? Run! Where do we run?
Extermination?
That kid sinking into the pit of balls, that's me every time I have to deal with something. Just like, let it take me. Don't tell me anything I need to do. If I survive by the end of this, I'm gonna get out and deal with it, but for now, let it take me.
Sarah, please help us! Sarah, what are we going to do? Make a decision! What's the plan?
Sarah is also me, just as an FYI. You will find me if I'm extremely overwhelmed or pissed off at someone. I am screaming into a pillow. She just has the guts to do it out loud. If I scream like that, I'm gonna get whooped.
We only fought them before because they came for us. This time we hunker down and we wait this out.
I can't remember how to breathe.
Is she gonna be alright?
She'll be fine.
I have no soul standing in all of that. Allow me to let me handle an actual apocalypse. Not right. You can't be serious. The threat Adam warned you about is greater than ever, and we have a duty to the people of heaven. You need to make this decision now. We don't deserve better than you whining over the already down there. Like the least perfect one.
You're not kidding, they're all perfect!
Enough! I must pray on this.
You are infecting your sister with your weakness.
The answer here is clear.
How can you even say that? This is heaven. We need to be the good guys.
You know, I think you both make some good points.
No, she doesn't.
Sarah?
Good on Sir Pinches to actually go and see if she's alright, as opposed to fighting.
You aren't allowed back here. Who let you through?
Well, I'm quite stealthy and, well, everybody's busy screaming. You look distressed. Is there any way I can be of assistance?
Be of assistance? To a seraphim. Do you have any idea the weight of my position? What I need to do? The souls I hold in my hands. Do you even grasp what I truly am?
Someone who could maybe use a friend to talk to?
Perhaps you're right.
They're scared. What? Starts with sorry. Though it cannot just end there.
I don't know why this line was so beautiful. It just hits right. Like, it starts with sorry, but it doesn't end there. It's so important because, like I was saying in the previous episode, all these angels just rushed in. They were like, oh, it starts with sorry, let us just jump in with zero planning and just go say sorry and hope it fixes everything. Obviously it won't. And I love that Pensius is adding, it cannot just end there though. Like, that cannot be where you draw the line. You can't just say sorry and hope everything is alright. Also, poor man, he literally said that the gift baskets might work for Charlie. But our beautiful angels just jumped in and decided that, you know what, we might just say sorry to the whole of hell and hope it fixes everything. And let's add a few gift baskets just in case they might be pissed off.
Mistakes are innate to being human and alive. We fall, we repent, we survive.
I also love that line. We fall, we repent, we survive. That in essentiality is the best way I can define being human in this day and age.
You didn't tell me it was gonna blast the gate straight off its bleeding hinges.
Well, what can I say? I like a little extra razzmatazz in my reveals.
Next time, warn me. I could have had 20 versions of #PearlyGate trending pentagram wide if you'd given more than 10 seconds of lead time.
This is it, right? Like, Vox is honestly pushing away or not really focusing on how supportive Velvet and Val can actually be in his goals right now, and he doesn't even realize that he's pushing them aside, or even if he does, he's just like, they'll deal with it, you know, I'm the best, so they better stick around with me. And it's, I can just see this, right? Like, if Velvet gets pissed off enough with Vox by the end of this season or by mid next season, and if she decides, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and go to the Hazbin Hotel and chill out with Charlie and be their PR manager and social media manager, things could turn so quickly because she's brilliant at what she does. She can literally shift and bring in so many people into the hotel if she ends up being on Charlie's side, which is going to be really awesome to see. I don't think it might happen anytime soon. It can be something that, you know, we are seeing that Vox is essentially paving the path for Velvet to do something like that.
I want all the overlords there to witness my moment of triumph.
Don't you mean our moment?
Of course. And make sure Val's there.
Val's still pretty pissed at you.
Well, I guess that's just tough fucking shit, isn't it? Tell him I expect him there, early, and wearing something nice. We need to have a united front against heaven.
Your partners are essentially like, you know what? Let's make sure that we are a united front. You're doing zero things to make sure that you show up as a united front.
Oh yeah? About what?
Do you really think you're powerful enough to take on all of heaven? Sweetheart, you haven't even proven that you're the strongest in hell. Why do you think so many have yet to fall in line?
I was strong enough to beat you, wasn't I?
Only with the help of your little friends.
I captured Lucifer.
Using information you got from a borrowed spy.
I punched a hole in heaven!
With a device invented and developed by Carmilla Carmine. I must say, the way you've been begging for help.
I just love that State Gone is playing in the background, and I love Alistair showing that, hey, you know what? Maybe instead of being a radio jockey, I should have been in the circus, seeing how flexible I am. He's just moving and throwing around his limbs all the way around that entire chair. I'm like, what is going on, man? Also, I just noticed, is that Vox's previous TV heads that he grew out of in the showcase behind him. Crazy.
You couldn't even get Charlie to admit you bested her.
Oh, I can change that.
What I really want to know is why does he care so much? You know what I mean? Like, why is he consistently getting pissed off by Alistair? He can just as easily take a deep breath and go, you know what? At least I got this done. We have been sitting here getting exterminated and getting shown up by angels for ages. I got shit done. We burst through the gates of heaven. We gave them a deadline. We are bringing the fight to them. I got this done. Yes, I took other people's help, but I got it done. I am the one who's navigating it. I am the one who's leading people through this. I am the one who's making those connections and connecting those dots. Who cares if I didn't get it done alone? Like, oh, he can so easily just be like, I don't care about you, Alistair. I got shit done. Shit that you didn't even think could be possible a really long time ago. Why does he let Alistair's comments hit him so hard? I have zero idea. But also at the same time, I think him showing up to Alistair has been his motivation for a really long time. Like, yes, that was his villain origin moment. He knew that he was ambitious. He has always been ambitious. But him showing up to Alistair and being like, I'm better than you, has been his motivation for a really long time. And so it continues to be his motivation all the time, especially with Alistair ticking him off by saying, you're not doing this all alone. I could have done it all alone. I didn't do it because I probably didn't want to. But, you're not really as strong as you believe yourself to be. I guess he's directly manipulating him using his motivation. But yeah, Vox, man, have a think for like 5 seconds.
Cute, but she'd never come. And even if she did, there's nothing you could do to break that girl's spirit.
You have no idea what I'm capable of. Just watch, Alistair. I'll get her here, on camera, in front of all of hell, bowing before me.
He is so easily falling into Alistair's trap. Like, Alistair's two conditions were you won't endanger or you won't hurt my little croonies, my little friends, and you won't directly attack Charlie. Those were the two things that Alistair mentioned in his deal. And Vox is potentially going to be manipulated into, and he's being manipulated into breaking that deal and directly attacking Charlie, which is going to lead to their deal being broken. And I don't know how deals work in hell right now because we don't really have enough context of what happens when a deal is broken. Does that mean that all the power that Vox has over Alistair is going to get absorbed into him? Like, is there going to be a power backflow, which leads to Alistair becoming more powerful, and that was his whole goal, become more powerful? Is that what is going to happen? We might have to wait and watch. But Vox, please, you're being manipulated so easily. What is wrong with you? Especially for someone so clever. But I think that's what flaws are, right? Like, we have our innate flaws. For Vox, it is being manipulated by Alistair, even if he's clever enough to take on Heaven.
Endorsing me as I finish what her mother started? You can't write a more inspiring story than that.
What a fantasy! She'll never admit to hell she was wrong. It's what makes her so entertaining to watch. When you're dead, I'll be free again.
We'll see.
Oh, he is too easy.
Lute,
Yes, Seraphim.
we have less than a day before the forces of hell attack. I have no choice. Prepare the troops.
It will be my pleasure.
Oh God! I'm not ready for this.
Sarah, please, no!
And tell them to stand by. Emily, you will have the remainder of our time to try and resolve things peacefully.
Really? What?
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I'm done letting fear guide my decisions. You are the one that has always held out hope for Charlie and her ways. Go, share some of that hope with the rest of hell.
I love this decision by Sarah, but also at the same time, it is so manipulative in its way of like, hey, so you know what? I have been ordering the exterminations without your awareness. That has led to a lot of sinners dying over the ages. Now we get to know that a redemption is possible and people can come up to heaven. Hallelujah to that. But at the same time, because the sinners of hell have been pissed off, and we have been consistently providing them with reasons to be pissed off with us, they have declared war against us. War is on our shores. You have less than 24 hours to convince Charlie and all of hell to back down. And it's completely on you. Like, yes, I made the decisions, but I won't face the consequences of said decisions. It's all on you. If you are unable to do it, the responsibility of that lies on you as well. Like, it's your fault. You couldn't convince hell. I gave you the opportunity to do that, but you couldn't. I know it's probably not that intention, but also at the same time, oh, why is she not going down alongside Emily to actually make things better? Why are you leaving it all in the hands of a little kid, at least in relation to your age? She is a kid. Why are you leaving it all in the hands of a kid from heaven and a kid of hell, potentially trying to ensure that there is no uprising and they don't actually fight a war? Especially with the odds stacked against Charlie right now, with all the hell backing the war. You're leaving it all up to her, while they have to plan and figure out a way to also protect the hotel and protect any of the sinners who might come to them for sanctuary. She's just leaving that all in the hands of Emily and going, take care of it, sayonara. I trust that you'll do your best. If you can't, that's your fault. Seems like a you problem, not my problem.
This place has to survive a war. Let's go, let's go.
Don't weld that, you little shit. Angel's still out there.
We need to go get him. He's right in the middle of what's coming.
There is not enough time to mount a successful rescue operation and prepare the hotel's defenses. Logic dictates we need to take care of those of us still here.
Come on, Mom, come on. Pick up the phone.
I can't wait for Charlie to eventually stop calling her parents and dealing with things on her own. Like, that being the next part of her arc where she's like, I gotta figure this out and I gotta deal with this on my own. I know she's been kind of leaning heavily and hoping for Lilith to come and save her or something along those lines throughout the season. A little bit in season 1, but a lot more in season 2. And with Lucifer out of the picture, absolutely understandable. But I can't wait for her to reach that point where she's like, I'm gonna figure this out and I'm gonna get this done by myself. And we kind of saw a bit of that in season 1 when she leads the army of cannibals to protect the hotel and to fight back against Heaven and against Adam. But it would be really fun to see it actually expand a bit more.
Mom?
Hey there, princess. Been a minute since we had time to chat.
Wait, Vox? How could you do this? You absolute monster.
Whoa! No need to get hysterical. I just wanted to invite you to this little shindig I'm throwing tomorrow. You know, before the whole hostile takeover of heaven thing.
I love Charlie's face in the profile photo. It's so her. And it's kind of hilarious that Vox always sees her as someone who's aggravated and agitated.
I don't know what he's up to, but you're not just walking into V Tower.
I don't know what else to do. I know he will never listen, but if there's even a 1% chance of stopping what's coming, it'll be at that party. I mean, it's not like any other solutions are falling out of the sky. Charlie! Holy shit, Emily! Wait, are you okay?
I'm fine. We did it. We finally got through to Sarah. She believes in you, she believes in redemption, and she wants to find a peaceful solution with Hell. She'll help us however she can, but first we have to get Hell to call off their attack and what?
Look, it's great that Heaven wants to help now, but I think it might be too late. Vox has everything he needs. He's smeared our reputation, he's villainized the angels completely.
He even got Angel Dust to go on TV and call redemption a joke. It'll take a lot more than words at this point to convince anyone. Seeing is believing, as far as they're concerned.
Then we show them. If Hell can broadcast to Heaven, I'm sure we can do the same. But backwards!
Certainly. VoxTech has been pirating Heaven's television channels for decades. And some of Earth's, too.
Wait, you have?
Oh, yes, your security is a joke. And Vox is a bit of a cinephile.
Wait, how do you know about the security system?
Oh, I designed the whole system.
Really?
Yes.
So, you know how to broadcast something to all of hell?
Yes.
Are you willing to risk your job and life to help us?
Yes.
Why?
Well, you made sure that my blankets were always folded at my requested 45-degree angle to make it more tuckable to my liking. So I assume that made us best friends. Isn't it obvious?
I want to believe him, right? Like, I genuinely do. But I am not a deeply trustful person by default. So I don't know if I want to believe him or not. But I think he's not the only option at this point in time.
Yeah, totally.
Then you could set up a broadcast from heaven.
No! No. It would take someone in heaven with an intellect equivalent to mine to...
Invent a way to make heaven's completely alien technology compatible with hell's in less than 24 hours.
You want me to invent something?
He's in!
The snake? He would.
Guys, it's a long shot, but I think I know how we can finally get Hell to believe in Charlie's dream. It's gonna be dangerous, and it's gonna take all of us. Are you in?
Yeah! Go team!
Yeah! Wait, who are you?
That's Rooster. He's been here the whole time. You know what? I'll introduce you later. You joining us?
Fuck no! That is scary!
That was so hilarious. Like, why even introduce yourself and jump in and be like, yeah, we're gonna get this done. Are you gonna join us? No, not really. That was scary. I mean, I'm just here to boost the team morale. I'm happy to keep doing that. Just from somewhere deep in there where I wouldn't potentially get hurt.
Future Val, don't let success break up the band. But as he rises higher, things aren't like they were before. And if he glows any brighter, will he see me anymore?
I love this, but why does Val give me such Stolas vibes right now? Like, why are you singing so dramatically? I honestly did not think that he loved Val or had romantic feelings attached to it. Or maybe he's just like, you know what? I just like him being someone who's like my fuck buddy on the side. But also, that's all there is to it. But he's not talking to me very nicely and it's kind of making me feel sad. Why? It's hilarious. I'm so sorry, Val. I mean, I don't really like you because of everything that you did to Angel.
And maybe then he'll chill again and realize who he missed. Now let's show the stuck-up pricks in heaven who's the baddest bitch.
What's going on?
He's alive. Oh my gosh. I was so scared. I genuinely thought he was going to be our very first canonical death in this universe that stays dead.
Boy, this is bad. Charlie's gonna be so mad.
That was a fun episode. I genuinely felt sad when Lucifer was like, Charlie is going to be so mad because his only interaction with Charlie where they're either fighting each other, trying to ensure that their values are being understood, or well, Charlie yelling at him, or him kind of taking care of Charlie after everything has kind of crumbled. Like, they haven't really connected in circumstances where everything was not online, you know, and that could have been possible at the start of the season, but we don't really see Charlie engaging with Lucifer a lot during those moments, during the first few episodes. And so I genuinely want someone, Vivian, please have someone hug Lucifer by the end of this season or by the end of this whole show. He needs it desperately. Let it be Alistair. But no, anyone hug that poor boy because oh my gosh, he's one of the only fictional dads I really vibe with, honestly. Also, I kind of like this particular song. It had such a, if you have listened to Epic the musical, we have a song called Love in Paradise, which is kind of like a rewind of all the previous things that Athena has missed in Odysseus' life after she leaves him. And this particular song had so many tiny musical inputs and song inputs from all the songs that we have heard throughout the season. It was really, really clever and I really liked that a lot. I think this might be one of my favorite songs to bop to. I also kind of like that Sarah she has not really dismissed the fact that the exterminations did lead to a lot of death. You know, it's not just, oh yeah, so that sucked, let me forget about it and kind of move on. Like, she is being held down by the guilt of it all, but yes, she could do so much more right now to actually help them, and I don't see her doing a lot. She could literally be planning things and making it better, fixing holes in the plans that, sometimes when you're in the middle of planning something, you don't really notice that there are holes in your plan, but someone from an external perspective can just go, do you see that gaping hole right in the middle of your plan that people are going to fall into? Or that is going to be the reason why this plan crumbles. You need to have stronger structural foundation, and here's what you can potentially do. I think she can definitely be someone who's actually helping along with the planning a bit more. But yeah, I'm excited to see the finale of season 2. Cannot wait. Please don't kill Angel, even if it is just to redeem him. I can't wait. Also, I'm guessing Sir Pentious is going to be the star of next episode. If they're broadcasting Heaven to all of hell, then they can absolutely show Sir Pentious existing there and having a fun time. Can't wait for the finale. Let's go, let's go, let's go.